What is going on with you and your children this week?
I've taught them many things, some of which they probably shouldn't know.
Oh, really?
Like, for example, do you know that Fiat stands for Fix It Again, Tony?
I knew that. Yes, of course.
Being one of the great Italian brands. Yeah, you know that. I mean, this has truly happened. I'm in the car this morning, and I'm taking the kids to drop them off, and my youngest asked me, hey, Daddy, when we get to the corner by where you drop us off, can you do an Italian tune-up on the car?
Oh, no.
And I just lost it, because for those of our listeners that don't know, that aren't car fans, and don't disparage the Italian automakers, an Italian tune-up is when you just drive the car really hard to, quote, blow out all the carbon.
You're just getting the engine hot, right?
Yes. And in many times when I've, driven more spirited and my kids ask me what I'm doing, I'm like, I'm giving an Italian tune-up. I just love that he remembered that and then asked for it.
Quiet, please.
And it's the way that he asked me to go fast.
In 4,
They know all sorts of
3,
interesting esoteric knowledge.
2.
Company presents a Truly Terrible Podcast. Welcome to Nonsense, Season 3, Episode 19. I'm Jeff Parker.
I'm Doodle.
This is our take on the week's business, tech, and entertainment headlines. This time, Europe has set up a fund to lure scientists from the United States.
A fund? Just like a panini and like a crepe would have done. A fund.
California advances to become the world's 4th largest economy.
There's huge margin in avocados, it turns out.
Mexico is suing over the renaming of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America.
Can we just agree that we can call it the Gulf of the Hometown Buffet? Would that be close enough?
We'll meet you halfway,
Meet you halfway, right?
A 53-year-old, 1,091-pound hunk of Russian space junk comes crashing to Earth.
And it perfectly fit in that upside-down L-shaped spot that cleared 3 rows right in the Indian Ocean.
Also, in our big story later this week, we'll discuss demonstrably untrue statements, the people who believe them, and why.
Well, that's going to be a long episode, isn't it?
How's your week going?
My week's been great, as one does. I smoked 21 pounds of beef. I made like a chili Colorado so that we could make breakfast tacos for all the teachers at my kids' school in honor of Teacher Appreciation Week. It was great. Everyone seemed to love it.
Sure.
Very appreciative, which makes the whole effort worth it.
I would bet the cows don't appreciate that.
Oh, we don't ask them. They are nameless blobs by the time I get to the Wagyu meat section of my local Costco business center. I especially loved it when the head of school came over, said some very kind words. He thanked us for doing this for his staff, which was lovely to hear. Again, lovely to hear that it's appreciated.
Yeah.
He then went on to jokingly ask where our public health scorecard was, like the letter that we received.
Sure. In California, restaurants get a letter.
You get like an A, B, or C, but if you're below C,
that's your ranking of how clean your restaurant
you
is.
just get a number. So, of course, I had to make the joke. I was like, oh, no, we don't get a letter. We just got a number. And at least now you know why half your staff's going to be out tomorrow. And he thought that was funny and then immediately regretted saying any of these things to me. Anyway, it was great. How about yours? How's your week?
My kid's back in town for a few days, which I'm super happy about. The Dodgers are in first place again, which I'm also happy about, but it's a long season.
Sure.
And I installed the first of 2 new Ecobee thermostats, so all is right with the world.
I love that these are all the same level for
Well,
you.
not at the same level.
My kid's back, the Dodgers are doing great, and Ecobee thermostats. That's all that matters. That's it.
My Google thermostats are all going to end of life.
Don't explain it. Just accept it.
Okay.
Just accept it.
There's a lot of joy in all of it.
If they're not Thread devices, I don't know why you bought them.
Because they don't make a Thread device. Although Ecobee is saying they're possibly going to give us Matter over Thread as an update.
Ooh, that'd be lovely.
That would be really nice, yeah. Okay, let's get to our headlines.
Let's do it.
Europe launches program to lure scientists away from the U.S. The European Commission has launched a new initiative to attract researchers and scientists to the European Union, especially those from the United States. The Choose Europe for Science program, backed with more than $500 million, is designed to offer an alternative to researchers who've been forced to seek new opportunities following cuts in scientific funding imposed by President Donald Trump's administration.
They just talk about doing what it says on the tin. They literally called it the Choose Europe for Science program.
Right. My first thing when I read this was $500 million is nothing. That will get you nothing.
Sure.
However, because science is expensive. However, there's so much momentum already that way that just even like you said in the intro, offer us a crepe.
Yeah, it doesn't take much.
Offer us a panini. We're coming.
I mean, just any not chaos. I mean, the number of people that I've come across in the past couple of months, like even kids that are nearing the end of high school, they're trying to get internships so that they can, without some internship, you're going to have a really hard time getting down the career path you want to get down.
Yeah.
And these programs have all been cut that they're trying to do some internship in just so that they can participate in science and get them into science fields. And that's super disappointing to me.
Congratulations, Europe. This is a very smart move. And the rest of the world applauds you for taking on the science mantle. Wonderful. Good for you.
Yeah. I mean, I think, typically speaking, we've been in the top 3. The United States has been in the top 3 in terms of percentage of GDP pledged to R&D. And over time, that's been a lot more, has skewed from government to private industry. The fact that we're pulling the plug on a lot of government subsidized research is not great. And a lot of the other countries, the ones that have done really well, like look at South Korea. South Korea spent about 5% of their GDP over the past 30 years.
And it's paid off huge.
And it's paid off. So they are now a real technological and real innovative partner in the world. And I think we were going to risk losing that, slipping down those ranks if we don't continue to do this.
Sure.
So that's not great.
You want to be a rich country? Throw money at science.
Yeah.
The payoff is just massive. By the way, this initiative also includes a target for member states to allocate 3% of their GDP to R&D projects by 2030. That's great.
Which is what you want, right? So I think this is better for the world, certainly. The biggest loser here is probably us as America, just because we're going to shed a bunch of great brains that we otherwise have been keeping here because we've helped finance their work. And the other thing this isn't a black hole we throw money into. We get the benefits of the work that they do because you get the innovation that comes out of it.
Of course.
And we've taken this approach for, 60, 70 years, and it's worked really well. Screws in holes. Let's put screws in holes.
Anything that advances the scientific frontier
Totally.
is going to make the entire world, not just your country, going to make the entire world a better place.
Yeah.
The amount of money we're throwing at it, by the way, is very small. The United States government contributes about 25% of what we spend on science, R&D. 75% is coming from private industry. That probably won't change that much, although it will certainly get pulled back.
Of course.
Because we don't know with tariffs and things exactly what we have to invest in this or that.
Wait a couple days.
So it's certainly going to slow us down. However, Europe stepping up is always going to be a good thing.
There was this analysis recently published in Nature that found that 75% of American scientists surveyed were considering leaving the country.
Yeah.
75%, which is nuts.
Because they lost their gigs.
And there's this, Nature also manages this global scientific employment platform. And they said that between January and March, American professionals sent 32% more applications to foreign institutions compared to the same time in 2024. I don't know how that's making us great again, but apparently it's 4D, 5D chess. I don't know that the pieces are delicious. I can't be sure. I don't know. But thank God we're getting rid of these scientists because all they're doing is slowing us down.
They're taking all of our money and giving us nothing in return.
Yeah. Exactly.
How dare they?
Exactly. Just studying stuff and making the world a better place. How dare you?
Boy, that's great. The plan originally proposed by the French government also proposes creating long-term super grants for outstanding researchers to provide them with financial stability. These would last for 7 years. The program also plans to double the amount of financial support available this year for those who decide to move to the European Union.
Not one mention of crepes. Come on, French. Get it together.
That's all you got to say is we got crepes on. Come on over. Europe will always choose science.
I love this quote, right? They said that Europe will always choose science. This is fantastic. This is exactly what it should be. Why it's not us, who knows?
All of us should always choose science. Nope. It's crazy we don't.
Nope. We have a good portion of us now choose vitamin A over science. Here we are. This is the world we're in.
Oh my.
100% the world we're in.
I know.
It works on horses. Why wouldn't it work on me? I know it's for worms, but COVID's like worms. Fucking A. Same. Well,
that's not vitamin A. That's
investormectin side. There's a lot of confidence in there.
Ivermectin.
That's it. Ivermectin. Whatever. Same bucket of horse shit. Pardon the pun.
Yeah.
Everything's fine. I look forward to servicing the rest of the world in a services-based industry, which I'm sure will come in short order.
Yeah, we're gonna manufacture things we're going to wish we were never manufacturing.
Yeah. Well, shoes got to be made by someone.
If enacted, Trump's proposed budget cuts would see the National Science Foundation budget cut by 56%.
Yeah, and renamed to the National Pottery Institute.
While the budget for National Institutes of Health would fall by roughly 40%.
We've come a long way to have this abrupt end. I can't wait to see the arguments why this is good. I'm just looking forward to the arguments of
no part of this is good.
Why this is good. It's all. I'm sure that the NIH is just really propping up a whole bunch of DEI candidates that are there just because they didn't earn it. There's no science coming out. Like whatever the fucking answer is going to be, I just can't wait to see how they're going to spin this into some good thing. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm not going to be sitting at home crying while I read it, I promise.
California should set up a fund to just lure scientists to California.
We kind of have.
But the good news of that is, and this is what follows the next story.
California
overtakes Japan as the fourth largest global economy. California's economy has overtaken the country of Japan, making the U.S. state the fourth largest global economic force. California is now 14% of the U.S. GDP. New York and California combined are nearly a quarter of the U.S. GDP. Yeah. Just New York and California are a quarter of the U.S. GDP. California's economy is larger than those of entire countries like the United Kingdom, France, Italy, Canada, and many others.
Well, those are all going to be states soon.
California is the leading agricultural producer in the United States.
That always breaks my brain.
Yeah.
Not because I don't believe it, just because I've driven all over California, and it is nuts to think that what we see there, which is a tremendous amount of agriculture, is the largest producer in the United States.
You don't think of California as being a big producer of agriculture until you drive through it.
Drive from LA to SF, and you're going to see a shit ton of agriculture.
Yeah, because so much industrial activity is happening in Los Angeles. So much industrial industrial activity is happening in Northern California, especially toward the coast. And then the rest of the state is just tons of growing things.
Yeah, you like nuts? Come in here. Avocados? Here.
And they're good, too.
They're really good.
The state is a major center for manufacturing with over 36,000 firms involved in industries ranging from aerospace and electronics to zero-emission vehicles.
Yeah.
We manufacture a lot of things in California.
But remember, all we're doing in California is pushing all the businesses out to other states.
I heard that.
They're all just going to Texas. Yeah.
And yet we're now the fourth largest economy.
We took over Japan.
On the planet.
I'm pretty sure that was all the Illuminati. Illuminati did it. I don't know how. Somehow. Very good.
Gavin Newsom said California isn't just keeping the pace with the world, we're setting the pace.
Yeah, of course he would say that. Yay, California.
Is there anything more to this story?
Yeah, it's fucking 70 degrees in January. That's why we all want to live here.
Nice.
Every single person's like, California, how do you live there? It's terrible. I'm like, you ever been? No. Okay.
It's delightful.
Stop talking.
Delightful.
Just stop talking. That's what's better for you. Just stop talking.
While we celebrate the success of California's advances in the world economic leaderboard, tariffs are going to affect us. There's going to be some effect. Japan may overtake us. Yeah.
I mean, the good news is we can at least live on a diet of almonds and avocados and be fine.
It's good food here.
Avocado toast for everybody. I'm looking forward to Newsom's avocado cost reduction act for Californians, so we can all have avocado toast without having to mortgage our house.
How close are we to catching up with Germany?
With the whole Nazi thing, pretty close at the federal level. What did you mean?
More.
Is that what you meant?
I was meaning GDP. But sure,
GDP. Oh, sorry.
You go at it the way you want to go at it.
So sorry. Took a slightly different approach on that. I don't know.
We're $4.1 trillion and Germany is what?
Oh, Germany's GDP is massive.
I don't know off the top of my head.
Oh, I'm totally wrong. Their GDP is $4.5 trillion.
So we're close to overtaking Germany. If we didn't have these tariffs, we could be overtaking Germany. We could be number 3.
Man. That's insane. Yeah, you know, what's $500 billion between friends?
Yeah, sure.
Just 1 year, we should just have Bezos write a check. Just 1 year.
We're coming for you, Germany. Our little state is coming for you.
Yeah.
Mexico is suing Google over how it's labeling the Gulf of Mexico. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum announced last week that her government is suing Google for relabeling the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America for users outside of the U.S. and Mexico. The company has done so in Google Maps after President Trump ordered the name change at the beginning of his presidential term.
So this is kind of fascinating to me. My understanding of what's happened here, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is what's happened.
Yeah.
We issued an executive order changing the name from the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America for some reason.
In violation of a decree the U.S. had issued
Of
earlier.
course. Who fucking cares about decrees or what other people have done? I've got a pen. I can write down whatever I want. So I wrote it down. So then all the companies that manage maps and whatnot in the U.S. said, okay, fine, we'll fucking change it. And they changed it to Gulf of Mexico for U.S. users, which makes sense.
Sure.
Now, in Google's case, for Mexican users, it still says Gulf of Mexico.
Sure.
Great, which is what it's always been everywhere else.
It's the fun of computers. You can localize it.
Now, for other countries outside of the U.S. or Mexico, they have put Gulf of Mexico and then in parentheticals, Gulf of America, which is even more fucking confusing.
Sure. That's the thing they're suing over. That's
yes.
exactly
and what
the piece
Mexico
they're
has
suing
said is no. Literally, the president of Mexico has said, all we want you to do is comply with the U.S. law, with what the U.S. government had said. I shouldn't even say law.
Yeah.
They want you to comply with the U.S. directive. And you haven't done that. What you've done is you've changed it in other places, which I totally appreciate their point. And I would say generally here agree with them. But I just think about more abstractly, how fucking difficult is it when we're calling the same thing by multiple names?
Sure.
And now people want to describe it. And it's like, well, I have to know where the listener is sitting to know what to call the thing.
And now if we're talking cross-continent, we're talking 2 different names about the same location.
About the same place.
Yeah.
Which just, so like, I get that we've been doing this for thousands of years, right? There are different languages and you'll have a language conversion. But generally speaking, for the most part, we call the same thing the same thing. I know there are exceptions to that for sure. But it's like, holy shit, is this the fight we really want? By the way, have you been there? It's hot and sticky. What the fuck? Why would I call it the Gulf of America? You call it the Gulf of the Steam Room. Nobody wants it.
I want to call it what you called it earlier.
Hate bail. Oh,
the Gulf of the Hometown Buffet.
The Gulf of the Hometown Buffet. I mean, I do think if you take the Gulf of Mexico and you take the radius of it and double that radius, that sweep along the U.S. probably has the highest BMI of all of the U.S. So I don't think I'm far off in terms of average BMI. I think Gulf of Hometown Buffet is probably the most accurate.
What about the Mexican side? Do they have the same issue or are they all like trim and fit on their side?
I don't know. I don't think they're all trim and fit, but I think they probably have a little less of the high fructose corn syrup pumping through their veins. I don't know. I mean, if you've ever been to one of the southern states where they serve sweet tea and you can literally put your straw in it and it will stand up because there's so much fucking sugar diluted in the water, you can't dilute anymore. It's a special kind of diabetes you get there.
This brings us to kind of an interesting thing because Google has just done whatever Trump wanted, whatever he asked. And by the way, it hasn't helped them in any way.
Sure.
They were hoping, I think, that they were going to get the DOJ to stop trying to break them apart. It hasn't.
You think that? So the DOJ comes knocking, they're like, no, we called it the Gulf of America. What do you want from us? Don't break us up. No. They had to comply. They couldn't not comply.
Well, they could have not complied because you can't just make up necessarily names. You can internally in the United States, if you want to rename things, go crazy, President. You can rename things all day long.
Oh, you're saying outside of the U.S.
Outside of the United States,
okay,
we have no.
I understand. Inside the U.S., they had to do this. They had no choice.
Sure,
Google
sure.
had no choice.
But outside the U.S., no.
You know, I put them in the best light here. I think Google is trying to just make it clear to other people by saying, hey, the rest of the world, we call it this Gulf of Mexico, and we have for quite some time. And then in parentheticals, we'll put what the mouth breathers call it in America, and we'll put the Gulf of America.
Yeah.
They're trying to just make it easier for people to know what it is. That's my read on it. Not they're trying to placate the DOJ.
All of these guys who kissed Trump's ring, all of these tech leaders who kissed Trump's ring got nothing for it.
I don't know if they got nothing. I don't know if you can say that. You don't know how bad it could have been the other way.
I don't think it can be much worse than it is now. Google's literally going to have to divest itself of its search business, most likely.
Sure. I mean,
they didn't get massive benefits.
Well, the lesson here is you just haven't paid enough yet.
You haven't kissed the ring enough.
Write a bigger check. Oh, yeah, you got to deep throat that ring. I know we said kiss, but that's not what we meant. That's what worked last year. This year,
And with that, I'm moving forward. Soviet spacecraft crash lands on Earth after a journey of half a century. After looping through space for 53 years, a wayward Soviet spacecraft called Cosmos 482 returned to Earth last week. The probe launched by the USSR in 1972 was intended to land and collect data from the surface of Venus, but was marooned in orbit following a malfunction of its upper stage rocket booster.
Okay, so we got a lot going on here. First of all, yes, it's been a journey, but it's not the journey that it signed up for.
Right.
Like I feel like this thing was like, oh yeah, I want to go on a trip. Sure, it'll be fun. And then it just got stuck doing the thing it wasn't supposed to do.
I want to orbit the Earth for no reason for 52 years.
Totally. I also love, again, the fantastic crack Russian naming where they called it the Cosmos 482. It didn't have a great ring to it.
No.
But this is actually a really interesting bit of space history. This thing was launched back in the early 70s, so I think it was March of 1972.
The space race.
Yeah, and it was one of like 29 spacecraft that the Soviets launched to try to explore Venus. Yeah. And many of those missions failed, but more than a dozen did not fail. This one happened to fail.
Sure.
And it got stuck in orbit. It finally, parts of it have crashed back to Earth like in the 80s. This was like the biggest chunk that came back and landed. I think somewhere in the Indian Ocean is where it sort of crash landed.
Right.
I did love that people were speculating whether or not the parachute would still deploy. I can just imagine a 50-year-old parachute deploying, right? It's like dust everywhere.
It's threadbare.
Yeah, totally. Anyway, it's really interesting. And this did get me to go back and look at something I haven't looked at in years, which are, we only have, as humanity, we only have like a half dozen photos of Venus, of the surface of Venus.
From the surface of Venus.
The surface of Venus. And they're all Russian.
And they come from, they're all from Russia.
They're all Russian photos. Well, I keep calling it Russian. That's actually not accurate. These are all Soviet era.
Yes, correct.
Right? So it's actually all Soviet Union, which is kind of fascinating. You see these panorama photos of Venus, and then of course in the foreground you see CP on the bottom of the lander, which is kind of fascinating. You just don't see that much anymore.
Right.
But here's the thing about Venus that is worth folks knowing if you don't already. The average surface temperature is like 860 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
It's hot enough to melt lead.
Sure. And yet it didn't affect the film when they were taking the pictures from the surface.
Yes, and they were able to send it back to get developed in time, which was pretty impressive. So you only have like any spacecraft that we've ever put on Venus as humanity has only lasted like a couple minutes, I think, at most, because
Right.
And not only that, but you have on the surface
The pressure.
It's like 92 bar, which is about 1,300 pounds per square inch of pressure. For perspective, right? This is 92 bar means it's like 92 times the Earth's atmospheric pressure at sea level. This is the equivalent of being about 3,000 feet underwater.
Mm-hmm.
The Titan, remember that submersible that imploded, exploding the Titanic in 2023?
I do. That was much deeper, I think. That was 12,000 feet.
Yeah, it was at 11,000 feet, but still.
12,500 feet. Why do I remember 12,500?
Somewhere in there.
Okay.
Was it 12?
I don't know.
No, I think 12,500 is where the wreckage ended up landing.
Okay.
Whatever. The point is, over 10,000 feet. This is a third of the way there, and you got to land and take pictures. Like, this is a tremendous amount of pressure. And by the way, you got to get the spacecraft there, which is also not easy as
Sure.
Cosmos 482 proved. But anyway, I'll put some I'll put some links in the notes because it's really neat to go look at and see what the surface of this place looks like. But definitely, if someone asks you to go to Venus with them, say no.
Say no.
There's
not a Four Seasons there, is there?
No, there is not a Four Seasons there. It's not a place you want to go visit.
Do you have a link to some of the photographs?
Yeah. I'll put it in the show notes.
From the surface of Venus?
Yeah, there's only like 4 or 5 of them. Somebody couple years ago did like a modern touch up and reconstruction of them to try to improve the photos and especially the panoramas.
Yeah.
It's really interesting, right? I don't know how much of it is artistic improvement or embellishment, but it looks to be pretty true to the initial photos. So I'll put a link in the show notes.
Very cool. Very cool.
Super neat.
Okay, enough with the headlines. In fact, enough with the episode. We have to get out of here. Special thanks to our floor director, Ron Niv. Happy birthday, Ron.
Thanks, Ron. Happy birthday, buddy.
Yesterday was his birthday.
Oh, it was yesterday?
Yeah.
Why the fuck do I have a cake now?
That's for us.
Sorry, Ron. You get to watch us eat this.
We'll be back later this week with our big story, demonstrably untrue statements, the people who believe them and why. Until then, thank you for listening to all this nonsense. I'm Jeff Parker.
I'm Stu Little.
Ciao, ciao.
Jeff, are you like the rest of us and just sick of waiting for your printer to finish?
Oh, so sick of it.
Well, stop letting your slow printer slow you down.
Okay.
The new JFD Universal Print Buffer will free your PC while those long print jobs just plug along.
Thank goodness.
Simply install the JFD buffer inline between your PC and printer using serial or parallel, and away you go. The JFD buffer has 64 kilobytes of storage and will transparently store your documents at PC speeds while your printer catches up. A typical 5-page document will be in the JFD buffer and out of your PC after your printer finishes just the first half of one page.
Wow.
Any computer, any printer, the JFD buffer will accept any DB25 serial or Centronics parallel input and output for one super low price of $239.95.
Wait, I'm $240 I'm paying for 64 kilobytes of memory.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it was a minute ago. And you can get this from Tips Direct in San Francisco, California.
Fantastic.
Do you actually remember these? Do you remember these print buffers that we would have?
No, I didn't have one. I had to wait while the printer printed out.
You had to wait.
Yeah. I usually wouldn't hit print until I was ready to go to lunch.
Ready to go to lunch, right?
MS-DOS systems were single task. They
Pretty
just
much.
they had one queue for things to go
And
out.
you would just sit there and wait for it to finish printing. So you would actually buy a device. $240 is like
A steal.
10-15% of the cost of your computer just to be able to print and then be able to do something else while it's printing. We just take this for granted now. Anyway, what year do you think this is?
It's got to be 82.
Ah, good guess. Very good guess. The ad is from 86, so I'd presume these are probably from a year or two previous, but you're in the right window.
Okay.
Also, for the listeners that don't remember what a Centronics connector looks like, it was about 4 inches long, and the cable that came out of it was like an inch round. Like it was just this massive umbilical cord.
It was so big and so heavy, it had a screw on each side of it, so you could screw
or these
it in.
these giant metal clips. Some people like me would just weld them onto their computer, so it was permanent.